Welcome back, guys. We're back this week reviewing The Last of Us. Hold on real quick. I am super duper bright. I don't know, maybe I need to turn down my light or something. My exposure is crazy right now. You thought for like half a second that there wasn't going to be any technical difficulties. Well, you thought wrong. I guess that's the right one. Okay. Oh well. That works. That looks good. So, we didn't do a review last week because it was one of those episodes where it was good, but I just didn't have much to say about it. I thought the performances spoke for themselves. And honestly, I'm coming from like a gameplay perspective, and I didn't play that part. That part was a DLC that was later on added to the game, and I never played it. Now, I played another part, which I don't know if we're going to get, and I don't want to spoil it. I'll just say for the video game people, I played the birthday thing. That's all I'll say, but I didn't play the arcade scene. Now, I thought the story was beautiful. I'm a real big fan of Storm Reid. I never saw A Wrinkle in Time. I heard it wasn't great, but I never watched it, so I can't really judge it for myself quite yet. But I had just seen Missing, which is from the director of Searching, and I thought she was really good in that, and I thought she was really good in this episode. She's moving on to go fight with Fedra, but she's being stationed in a different place, and I can suspend my disbelief that she turns on an entire mall, and they play Mortal Kombat, and there's so many references of like where Ellie's personality comes from and where her references come from. And I thought it was a really great episode, and how it ends with both of them getting bit. And I was wondering, because it ends with, Storm Reid saying, hey, either we can end our lives or we can just sit here and go crazy together, and that's where the episode ends. And I was wondering if they were going to flash back to that this episode with Ellie killing her first person, because in the game when Joel is fighting, like there's a point in Kansas City before you meet Henry and Sam, I'm pretty sure, I'm trying to think of the timeline of the game, that Ellie, like Joel's fighting someone and he's like on top of him and stuff, and Ellie shoots the guy to save Joel, and she had never killed anybody before, or supposedly. And like that was a real big moment. And they kind of skipped that. She shot that one guy, but Joel finished him off in the show. And I was wondering if she said she'd never killed anybody before, but I was wondering if they were going to refer back to the mall episode with like, did she have to kill her friend? Because her friend is going to turn and she's not going to. So I didn't know if they were going to refer back to that, and, they didn't. And that's totally fine. It was just like a thought. It was just a thought. And so it was basically like the flashback, and I see the complaints like, oh, this didn't further narrative. Like, then you're not paying attention. The narrative of the story, but the narrative of the characters, it definitely furthered the narrative of the characters of like, Ellie is going to keep fighting. She could have ran away. She could have given up on Joel, and she's not going to. And she wants to fight for him. And that's where we start with this episode. Joel's wound is starting to get infected, and she doesn't know where any, medicine, any antibiotics are, and they're running out of food. So she goes hunting for a deer, but it turns out that at the same time she's hunting a deer, she runs into David and James. Now, David, oh, dang it, I thought I had the episode pulled up. There we go. When We Are in Need is the name of the episode. David is played by Scott Shepherd. He seemed familiar. Let's look him up real quick. Bridge of Spies, Jason Bourne. Let's see. The Last of Us, The Good Fight, El Camino, X-Men, maybe True Detective is what I know him from, but I'm not really entirely sure. I hadn't seen him before, but I thought he did a great job as David, and we'll get into that. Troy Baker, who is Joel in the game, played James, his right-hand man, and they're part of a little small group of people that's really struggling. And you see one of the group members saying like, hey, are we going to be able to bury my dad? And he's like, the ground's too cold to bury him right now, but we'll bury him in the spring. And you wonder like, okay, who's her dad? And I knew who it was, but you as a viewer, I think they did a good job of hinting at that. And Ellie runs into James and David, and she's like, David's being very calm and very generous, like, we're not going to take this deer from you. We both need it, but we'll trade you for it. You need medicine. We'll give you medicine. You give us the deer. So James goes off back to the town to get the medicine. And David's talking with Ellie. He's very calm. He's very like generous. He's like, I still believe in God. Everything happens for a reason. And she's like, oh, really? He says, yes, because a week ago or a few days ago, I sent some men into town to go look for supplies. And one of them was killed by a man and a young girl. And here you are. And so he goes back to town with the deer. Ellie goes back to Joel with the medicine. Very standoffish situation, very well done. Troy Baker's a good actor. I know, like, I realize that, like, voice acting makes you a good actor, but just, like, he needs to be in more live action stuff. He's a good looking dude. He's a good actor. I liked him a lot in this episode. And David goes back to town, and you can tell that, and this is where I was wondering how I felt about the show, is because, like, up until skipping ahead a little bit where Ellie gets captured, that's kind of the first moment you see that David's a bad guy. In this one, it's I said the phrase kick the dog last time I reviewed an episode, and I feel like they did it a little bit again. Now, he's a bad guy. There's no like redemption of this character. But I feel like they jumped the gun a little bit with like when the girl's like, oh, we need to go after him, we need to kill him, and he like slaps her and says like, don't ever talk while your father's talking. I felt like they jumped the gun a little bit where there's something off about this guy, but I felt, I don't know, maybe that's just me being a gamer and comparing the two, where they did so good at the end of the episode and with David and Ellie's interactions of like, oh, this guy's really bad. And they hint a little bit at what they're eating, and like everyone's kind of giving it like the side eye, and you're wondering what that is. And Joel wakes up. Ellie gives Joel the medicine, but then David and James and like their group go after them. Ellie escapes on Shimmer, but gets captured, leading them away from Joel. Joel wakes up, has to defend himself from the rest of the group that's around there. And this is the part I was wondering if they were going to do, is Joel interrogating the two guys he captures. And this is pre-Ellie Joel. This is like the stuff that Tommy was talking about, where we don't talk about this side of Joel, but this is the Joel that gets things done, and they are not great. And this is how Joel survived. And it's not good. I don't even want to go into it, but he interrogates these two men, and like, I feel like some of the complaints was like, and I feel like it's a different video where the game is just grimier. The game is dirtier, it is darker, it is more grim. We have had more scenes of humanity in this show so far. With with Tess, with Frank and Bill, with Henry and Sam, with the mall episode, we've had more glimpses of humanity, because in all those other things in the game, yeah, we get a little bit of those, but it always ends terribly. Like Frank and Bill's the most stark like difference of this show, of showing the humanity and what's worth living for and what's worth fighting for. In that, in the game, Frank hated Bill and got bit and like hung himself, and like it's a terrible thing, and like leaves this really horrible note behind for Bill to read. But in the show, it's this beautiful, wonderful love story, and I like both versions. I really do. But I feel like they're giving us more humanity in the game, more reasons for Joel and Ellie to fight, to find the Fireflies, for Ellie to become the cure. And I'm okay with that. I think it's a good narrative, but I just want to say that like the game is grimier. The game is darker and dirtier. And you see like where literally where the sausage gets made, and you see that side of Joel a little bit more often. Like, when they meet Henry and Sam. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was trying to think of what I was connecting it to. When you meet Henry and Sam in the game, like, Joel's fighting Henry because he doesn't know like what's going on. And then Henry's like, oh, he sees Ellie. He's like, oh, you have a kid with you. You're okay. But Joel's still, he's like, okay, stop. It's like, hey man, you were hitting hard. He's like, yeah, I was trying to kill you. And like, that's who Joel is. That's how he survived. And this is the Joel we get in this scene. And they did not hold back with it. His interrogation methods are ruthless and you see that scary side of Joel, and Pedro Pascal plays it so well. He plays it so well. Oh my God. He was, even Mando, Kingsman, we have not, like, even Oberyn, where you know Oberyn is dangerous, but he's not scary. This is scary, Pedro, and I loved it. I thought they played this so perfectly, where, like, you don't need to, like, go over the top with the violence, but you know exactly what's going on, and oh man, it was well done, and I commend them for it. And I wish you, like, in the game, like, there's more, like, action in the game, because it's a game, so you have to fight through more, like, hordes of guys, and stuff like that. There's more, like, you know, action stuff. And I was okay with it not being that. I was okay with just getting to David and Ellie. And this is where I feel like you could have revealed how bad David is with, you know, the human ear and, like, what they're eating and how they're surviving. There's that aspect to it. And then there's the other very creepy, terrible aspect to David of, like, him, like, caressing Ellie's hand and all that terrible, terrible stuff. That's where I'm like, I know what David is. I know who David is and how bad he is. I just think, like, the slap in the middle, like, it tipped your hand a little too much. We know there's something off about this guy. We can't maybe put our finger on it. He's being too nice. He's being too calm. He's being too serene. What is it? And this is where I feel like they really did amazing. Like, the actor, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name again. Scott Shepherd did such a good job in this scene, and it is so uncomfortable. It is so creepy. It is so awful. And Bella Ramsey, oh my gosh, like, anyone who ever had any doubts, any trolls on the internet who ever had any doubts about Bella being Ellie needs to be, or should be silenced, because they should have been silenced weeks ago. But I don't know how you can look at the evidence, Your Honor. The evidence is there. She is so damn good. But especially when she breaks his finger, like, my name's Ellie. That's who you tell broke your effing finger. So good. And I like that, you know, in the game, it's like very cool. Like, that's who broke your finger. And I think both Ashley and Bella do a great job. It's the differences. I'm okay with the differences. I like the differences. And I like, you know, the scene where there's like a confrontation, and it's more of like a video game scene, and I get that, and I like that they kept the fire and just like the intensity. Now, this is where I really prefer the video game, and I wish they had done it this way, is where you play as Joel leading up to it, and then you, like, going through the town trying to find Ellie, taking out the guys and whatever. And then you find the burning building, and then you switch to Ellie's POV, and you're sneaking around, you know, fighting David, trying to get away from him. And then that final scene comes up where you get that hatchet, and yeah, no, hatchet, or I think it's a hatchet. No, what's that thing called? Oh, I don't know, the big knife. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm just gonna say hatchet because I can't think of the word. But you get that, and like that cutscene happens. And while she's doing that, while she's going crazy on David, that's when Joel comes in. Like, she's, like, still on top of him when Joel, like, grabs her. It's like, it's me, baby girl, it's me. And I felt that doing it that way in the middle of Ellie's first kill, you know, I don't know about Storm Reed, you know, that we'll just say this is first kill because there's nothing else confirmed. Joel is there to comfort her right during it. Like, and I feel like that's more powerful than what they did in the show, where with her walking out and them reuniting. I really prefer the game moment, and I can't remember. I should have watched the show, Sarah's death scene at the beginning of the show, because in the game, that's so important, because in Sarah's death scene, he calls her baby girl, and then he's been calling her Ellie this whole time, and then in that moment, he's like, oh, baby girl, and that's where the scene cuts out. And I can't remember. I'm assuming they did, because it is such a pivotal moment of Joel calling Ellie the same thing he called his daughter. I'm assuming I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt, because they've more than earned it in this show, where he does call her that for that reason. And while I still think this moment was really powerful, I just can't help comparing it. And this is my only, like, I'm okay with the slap and them like tipping their hand about David. I've been okay with all the changes they've made. I've had my preferences, but I really think they should have done it the way they did in the game. And I know I'm not there to watch the video game. I'm there to watch the HBO show that's based on the video game. But I can't help but feel that they missed out on like some real core power moments of him coming to her during like that moment, like in such a pivotal moment, like her first kill, and in such like an impassioned, like angry moment from this terrible person that has tried to assault her in many different ways. And I just feel like Joel being there in that moment rather than after it, like really made a difference for me watching it and then playing the game as well. I love their interaction. I love this show so much. And this episode just shows like how good, like how faithful HBO has been to this adaptation, how much respect it has for this adaptation, how much respect it has for the game, how much it has respect for people like me who have played the game many times and love it. But that's the thing. Again, I realize that I've been like, I'm not here to play the game again. I'm not here to watch a play-by-play, a scene-by-scene. Sorry. Throat's really dry. I know that. I'm just saying what I prefer, but I still think the episode and the showrunners did a great job. I absolutely love this series, and I love that, like, that's where they cut off. And I'm really, really excited for these last 2 episodes. I'm super curious of how true they're going to stay to the game, what they're going to change, how they're going to change it. And that's the thing. They've earned that. You know, when I watched Halo or something, I'm like, what are they doing? This is insanely bad. But this, I'm excited for these changes. I love these changes. Now, do I have my preferences from the game from playing it 3 times? Absolutely, and that's totally okay. But I do love what they've done with this show. And it was so powerful. It was so heartbreaking. Like, it took me a minute. Like, I was sitting there for about 10 minutes just kind of staring at the screen before I popped on to do this review, because that is a powerful moment in television right there. And I think Bella just sealed herself the Emmy in that scene. And again, another amazing performance. As creepy as it is, Scott Shepherd giving an amazing performance as David, because those are some big creepy shoes to fill in the game, where just like it just gets worse and worse. And he did such a good job leading up to it, of like the big reveal of just how awful this guy is. And another great performance. And Troy Baker did a great job too. Like, I want to see, like I said, I want to see him in more live action stuff. But yes, thank you so much for watching, guys. I've tried to keep these other 20 minutes, but I just rant and rave because the show is just that good. It really is just that good. But thank you to my patrons who are getting this early. And thank you to everyone on YouTube watching this whenever. Sign up to the Patreon if you guys want to get these early. I try and do these night of. I think I'm going to do a review for the last 2 episodes, because I feel like this last episode, I don't want to be here talking for an hour or something like that. But I'll let you guys know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.